Hey, John here. In this lesson we're going to go through a hybrid picking routine as well as some hybrid picking basics if you're new to this technique. This routine is also of the systematic nature, so it doesn't sound very good, but that's actually a good thing because you won't be tempted to speed things up before you're ready, and you can just sit back and work on your actual technique. So all in all, you're going to improve faster when you work through things like this. If you're wondering why you should work on hybrid picking at all, well, that's because it's so much easier to execute certain things on the guitar with hybrid picking, and that will definitely influence the sound, even though you could do it with alternate picking, for example. But there's certain things that you cannot do without hybrid picking, or you would have to work insanely hard to come even close to be able to get the same sound. As usual, we're going to start with a short lick as well, just so you can see some sort of application to the actual thing we're working on. If you want tabs for this one, as well as the previous lessons and all the upcoming lessons, you can go to my Teachable site, sign up for the YouTube lesson subscription, I have the link below, and for $5 a month, you get access to all the tabs in Guitar Pro format, you get MIDI format, it's PDFs, and even PNGs, I believe. So we got all the tabs as well as any related documents that you need for the lessons. You can also access all this stuff on my Patreon site instead, if you prefer that. And by doing that, you also get access to the huge lesson library that I've amassed over the years. Before we get started today, you can sign up for my newsletter. And besides the lessons that I'm going to be sending exclusively via the newsletter, you also get access to a 17 mixed lessons pack on my Teachable, where you get lessons on all the different techniques as well as a full solo, all for free. So check that out. Right, so this is a pedal point lick using the D AEOLIAN scale, and AEOLIAN is just a fancy pants name for the natural minor scale, and pedal point just means that you're pedaling from one note or a group of notes, but in this case it's going to be a lower note the whole time. And I'm going to pedal from this note, the A, which is the fifth of the scale. And by pedaling just means that you come back to that note every other note. So we're actually going to start on this note as well. So that's the basic idea. Then we're just going to move that up in the scale. Technically here, all the notes on the B strings, all the pedal notes, it's going to be downstrokes, which you pick. And then all the notes on the high E string, going to be played with your middle finger. So I'm just going to play it through the first position slowly. So we have, I'm going to call out the interval names here as well. So not the frets. So we have 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, flat 3. After that, we move up to 13th fret, where we have the flat 7 we're going to pedal from. And the notes on top will be flat 3, 4 and 5. After that, after this one, we're going to go up to the same note one octave higher. Again, I'm using the M finger here, M, and then do a pull off to 17, which is the fifth. Then we got 18, which is the flat 3, and then we got 17, which is the ninth. So we're going to go down in. Basically, when you tally all these intervals together here, you basically have a D minor ninth chord or arpeggio without the actual root. So that will take you down to the root here on the 10th fret of the low E string. So from the pedal point, so if you didn't catch this, it's basically same thing, one octave down. So again, the whole lick slowly. All right, so if you're new to hybrid picking, you really want to see this part of the video. So one of the best exercises to make sure that you develop the correct technique from the beginning. And also if you have any trouble with your hybrid picking, you might want to go back and check this out and see if you can correct some mistakes. It's fairly simple. We're just going to use open strings. I'm going to play the exercise now twice. First time in the bad way and second time in the good way. So the bad way. And now the good way. So the difference here, if you didn't notice it, is that the first example, I'm kind of hitting everything from the air. It's a very unreliable feeling actually, and it's very easy to hit the wrong string and all kind of bad things can happen. Second way, I'm using a technique called planting, which is from classical and flamenco guitar. Basically, it just means that you prepare the string or the finger or the pick in this case before you play, so it's virtually impossible to miss the string. So playing the D and G string here, so I'm starting with my pick, I'm prepared, then I play the pick, and as soon as I play the pick, my third finger should immediately be placed under the G string, so I'm prepared to just play it when the time comes, right? So if you do this correctly, it's a very secure and light feel in the right hand. So when you try this initially, I'm sure you're gonna feel like you're gonna tense up and it's gonna be really hard to do. And pretty much every Skype student I've ever had has been really annoyed with me when we work on this, because they're like trying really hard to do it, and I'm just saying, well, you need to relax more, you need to relax more. But as annoying as that can sound, that's really what you need to do. So if you find yourself tensing up a lot, you're doing it the wrong way. So what you want to do is place your hands so it feels really natural to play, because that's also another very important thing. You don't want to develop a hand placement that's really far off from your normal picking technique, for example. So it becomes a special event for you to sort of go into hybrid picking mode. So make sure that you find something that's very close to your own natural technique, but also that feels natural. And I know if you new to something, it's not going to feel very natural necessarily, but just know that the more relaxation you can feel and find at this stage, the easier it will be to get this technique down. And don't even worry about tempo and stuff like right now. You want to just focus on getting the correct feel and the sound as well. Another thing when you practice this, use the transition speed that I talked about in a previous video. It was the ultimate picking video. It's very important to use that for any type of technique practice because it will really help to speed things up without causing any type of problems with sloppiness and things like that. Just a small recap here, it just means that you're going to move as quickly as possible from note to note. So instead of doing this, you want to have a quick transition from like that. Another way of looking at it would be that you have the metronome going and you kind of go so you wait until the last millisecond to move, and then you have to move fast. So, but again, look at that video if you want some more background on this technique. I will highly suggest that you sit down, and if you have a 6-string guitar, maybe put on a timer and do at least 2 minutes on each string pair. So that would take you 10 minutes to go through this. And I know it's super boring, but it's very, very effective. And I think it's so important to do this work because otherwise it's very easy that you get straight into some licks, and then you're gonna develop some weird habits with your right hand technique, specifically in this case. So if you're new to this stuff, do yourself a favor and work on it like I'm prescribing here. And why we want to do the planting thing is to get the right trajectory for your finger, and you're gonna get used to actually hitting the string in that way instead of just, you know, doing it any old way from the air. So when you're actually using this later on, if you're improvising, you're not necessarily gonna plant before, but if you've worked on this, you're gonna see that it sort of just feels effortless and automatic when you do it. So the more you can work on the planting technique, when you practice slowly, which you should do most of the time anyway, you will feel that when you actually try to learn licks or improvise, it will just flow much more naturally. Just a quick thing about fingernails and where you should place the actual string when you use hybrid picking. I have slightly longer fingernails on these 3 fingers just to help out with the sound when it comes to hybrid picking, because the sound comes from you're actually hitting the string on the side of the finger here. It's the fingertip and the nail at the same time. So if you only use the nail, it's going to sound quite thin, and if you only use the fingertip, it can sound kind of dull. Saying that though, I know that Marshall Harrison, who has an amazing hybrid picking technique, he doesn't use fingernails at all. He only uses his calluses on the fingertips. So just try it out, and whatever works for you, that's fine. So you don't have to have nails or anything like that. You can still get this technique down. Okay. And like I said, you want to place the string on the side here. So it's not like that, or it's more basically the way that you just plop your hand down like this. You're gonna feel that it's quite natural to get the string here on the side of the fingertip. And another thing about dynamics, you kind of want to, if you want a smooth sound, you don't want to overpick with the fingers, because then it's gonna be this, which, you know, might be something that you want to have in certain situations, but I think the baseline should probably be to just do it, get it as close to the picked sound or the legato sound, depending on the phrase, as possible. And that's actually, in the long run, technically it's going to be easier for you, because you don't need to, you're not going to get stuck and you're not going to dig in too much. If you dig in too much, you're going to go more into this kind of chicken picking territory, which is fine, and I love that sound, but again, it's not the point of this type of hybrid picking, because in this case we want to basically disguise the technique so we don't hear that it's like, oh, that's, you know, hybrid picking. You just want to get the notes out that you want as easily as possible, and not have people just catch you out on like, oh, sweep picking, oh, hybrid picking. So I think the best technique for me is when it's kind of inaudible what you're doing and you just hear a really great sound. So the actual routine now, if you're new to hybrid picking and you skipped ahead to this chapter, go back and watch that previous chapter so you can get this technique down correctly from the beginning. I know it might seem boring to play open strings, but if you're at that stage, that's the fastest way forward, and also the easiest way to avoid a lot of different pitfalls when it comes to bad habits concerning this technique. So go back if you're new to this stuff. If you're not new to this stuff, we can just go on ahead here. So like I said in the intro, this is another systematic type exercise, and I know they sound hideous, but I really like them because it enables me to focus on the technique in the most efficient way possible. So when I do sit down and want to play something, whether I'm improvising, composing, or learning some other stuff, it's not going to be as difficult. It doesn't mean that if you do systematic exercises, everything will just be easy, but you will cover a lot of the basic problems that might occur in certain phrases. So I'm a really big fan of using systematic exercises for any type of technique, basically. So this one in particular, we're going to use the 6 two-finger combinations, and that's going to be 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 2 3, 2 4, 3 4. And we're going to place these on 2 adjacent strings. When it comes to the right hand, we're going to pick everything on the lowest string on each string set, and we're going to use the M finger on the highest string of each string set. I'm going to play through the 2 first string sets here so you can see the transition between them as well. And also I'm going to do this in a sort of abbreviated way, because you don't need to see me play the all 4 reps for all finger combinations. I'm just going to do 2. So, but keep in mind it's really good to do 4, I think, because you want to get some reps in. But anyway, so I'm going to start now. And again, this is pretty much the tempo I would practice it at as well, even if you can play it faster, because it's all about making sure we can get that planting thing going on and getting everything as clean as possible. And you go on like that through. Once you've done it on the top string group here, we're gonna reverse it. So now everything's gonna be in reverse. So basically we're gonna start with the hybrid picked finger instead. Same combinations, but they're gonna be mirrored, so to speak. So instead of that 1, 2, we're gonna go 1, 2 instead of 1, 2. Gonna go like this. And now I'm gonna start on the B string. You get the idea. So that's basically the routine. And when I practice things like this, I usually do it in 5 different positions. I start down here. So 1 through 4. Then I start from 5. And then I start from 9, 13, and then 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I usually don't do it from 21st to the 24th because it's super annoying. It's not very often you're up here playing anyway. In certain exercises, if I'm playing all over the neck, I would do this here as well. But I don't think it's needed in this case. So I basically do 5 positions. And why these 5 positions is because doing this, you can cover all the different tensions pretty much in 5 positions instead of having to do all positions, which will take a long time. And for an exercise like this, that will take way too long. So you can get more out of it if you do it like this. And I highly suggest that you do that because it's a very big difference in the feel of the strings here than what it's up here. So definitely do that. A few things to think about here. Make sure you get the planting right because that's really the key to getting this technique to feel effortless. And that's what we're after. And I know I go on and on about this stuff, but really implement this into your practice schedule. Give it at least a week or 2 before you evaluate it and decide if you're gonna keep going or not, and start writing angry comments below here. All right, so that's it for today. If you have any questions regarding this lesson, just post it below. But also, if you have any specific problems with your hybrid picking, it's really helpful if you could post that as well, because then I know what to focus on in future lessons. Also, as with any type of exercise that I show you, it's not going to be any quick fixes or anything like that. You need to put in the time, but that's also why being good at something is valuable, because it takes time to get it. If you got it right away, you wouldn't be here. You would be playing Fortnite or something. So keep that in mind. Be patient, put in the work, and always remember that you can learn pretty much anything if you do it correctly and you put in enough time. So the only way you can really fail if you stop trying.